football transfer portal is coming to an end. Started on January 2nd, ending in 2 days on January 16th. We've already seen some huge blockbuster transfers already. And on this podcast today, we will be speaking about those large blockbuster moves. We'll be talking about who we think is going to change teams over the next 2 days. At the very end, we had a big game this weekend with the Hoosiers and the Hurricanes. We'll be talking about our picks on who we think is going to win. Sketch, give us a little rundown on some of the biggest transfers the past 12 days in the portal.
Yeah, thanks, D-Scatch. First and foremost, the NIL is just destroying college football and the product of college football. I
Right.
mean, it's kind of sad to see now, a little
Yep.
bit, because of the deregulation behind it, it's gotten out of hand. And
Yep.
year after year after year, and honestly, it started with my boy Dion, and we were excited when it was going well for us. Well, now it's not starting to go so well for us. And so maybe there's a little bit of bias there overall, but because of all of this deregulation that's been happening across NIL and, Mark Cuban coming in and now
Right.
he's taking a load at this. You got all these mega billionaires coming in, taking a load at it. It's made it very interesting. And now it's making for one of the craziest transfer portal years ever. Right. And it feels like we keep saying that over and over again. But this year it's been very interesting because you've seen some guys leave early on and you've seen them go to teams that are in need of, let's say, a star quarterback. You've
Yep.
also seen some guys leave where it felt like they were in a good program. They had a good football team, a good head coach. They were the starting quarterback, and all of a sudden they're going to compete. And so I think it's been quite a volatile transfer portal so far. I know we've only got a couple days left and a lot of the big names have gone. Some of them being Dylan Raiola, who I
Yep.
think is probably one of the craziest guys to go to the University of Oregon because for obvious reasons, Dante Moore's there, right? And I thought Dante Moore was going to go to the draft this year, to be honest. I mean, you have Fernando Mendoza, but other than that, who's actually in the QB draft this year, right? I mean, I genuinely don't know. And so it seems a little weird to me, maybe because Dante Moore and the Ducks kind of had a bad ending there, that was going to hurt his stack or his draft stock. But now you have Dylan Raiola coming in here, Mr. Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to compete with Dante Moore at Oregon. And I'm wondering how Dan Lanning's working around through all of that right now. I think Dan Lanning's a phenomenal football coach. I think the Oregon Ducks are a lot of fun to
Right.
watch, but now you have, without question, the best quarterback room in all of college football sitting there in Oregon. So I think that one's been really interesting, D-Scatch. Another one that I just love is our boy Sam Levitt going to LSU Tigers. Go Tigers with Lane Kiffin. I think that, I guess there's your question for who's even in the NFL draft this year as a quarterback, right? I get
Right.
the Nuss bus, Garrett Nussmeyer. So I think Sam Levitt's another good blockbuster one. And then of course you have Brendan Sorsby with the Texas Tech Raiders, Mr. $6.5 million in NIL money to go to Texas Tech.
Record
Um,
breaking. I would do
it,
that.
I would do it in a heartbeat. I mean, Texas Tech, I mean, shoot, they were a great football program this year. Patrick Mahomes, alumni. They've got a lot of people coming from that area in Texas that are donating a shitload of money to that program. And I think that is the biggest and by far the most blockbuster one of the transfer portal this year. But I think guys like Sam Levitt and Dylan Raiola are really going to spice up college football next year. I still don't think it's good for college football. I really don't. I think teams are having a tough time staying together, and it's affecting that camaraderie moving forward.
I mean, even put it more into perspective, we saw over 4,000 players enter the transfer portal for this 2 weeks. There's no spring portal. This is the only one. And so this is something that really has never happened before. We can kind of go down the list of what we saw. Sam Levitt going from ASU to LSU. That gives a little sneak peek into the quarterback for LSU going into the draft. Same thing with the quarterback for Alabama going into the draft. But I think what we're also seeing here, C Scotch, is that these billionaires that can't go buy one of the 32 NFL teams, this is the next best thing. So they're going in. We actually spoke about this on a former Keeping It Loose episode when we were talking about billionaires, private equity firms, sovereign wealth funds, whatever it might be, buying these teams because buying these colleges, funding these colleges because they can't get an NFL team. This is the next, I guess, best thing. It doesn't make them any money. I don't think it makes them any money at all.
I
It's a
don't think it
cost.
does either. Yeah,
It's
I
a
have no
cost on
idea.
any of the program.
Yeah, it's just like they're doing it for control a little bit,
Yeah,
right? And to kind of be a high and mighty. I mean, if I was a billionaire, D Scotch, I do the same exact thing. I mean, I'm not saying what these billionaires and what these college football programs are doing is a bad, like, I wouldn't do it. I would
I would.
absolutely do what they're doing, right? I would absolutely do what they're doing. But watching college football this year, I felt like the product was dog shit, shit ass all year.
Yep.
I did
Yep.
not like the product. There were blowouts left and right. I mean, it took until one of the last couple college football playoff games to actually even be competitive. And it's just kind of a shame what it's doing to the product. I think if you look back a few episodes ago when we talked about it, with the private equity and everything like that, and the salary cap, that's that's gonna need to come sooner rather than later because then it's just gonna turn into a billionaire bidding war
Right.
across college football, and it's just that's not ideal for the sport. I personally don't believe so. I think it's cool for us as fans to watch these players go back and forth for
Right.
these first couple weeks of January, and you're gonna imagine Sam Levitt at LSU with Lane Kiffin and the
Yep.
Dylan Raiola, Dante Moore, and you got your boy DeAndre Moore, wide receiver from Texas, going to the Buffs. Like, you got some cool things that happen, but 4,000 transfers, like. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah. It doesn't look like we're probably out of the age where we see college football players go to a school for all 4 years, one school.
Mhm,
We're now in that stage where they go to maybe one, two, maybe even three schools before they go into the NFL draft. And so I think what we used to see growing up was seeing these players not getting paid, right? I mean,
mhm,
maybe before they were getting paid if you're Alabama, an SEC school, but we're not going to get into
uh-huh.
that. But they weren't getting paid this kind of money. They were getting paid
No.
$6.5 million a year kind of money. You can't
Mhm.
even hide that from Johnny Manziel, I think. Johnny Manziel can't even get $6.5 million in cash, right? That way.
Right.
And so that was back in the day. Used to see all these players go through the college, all 4 years, all 3 years. Transfers were very limited. I think now what you're seeing is stories like what we're seeing with our boy Jordan Seaton, right? The number four overall kind of recruit, not recruit, but I guess it's like in the transfer portal, the top offensive tackle from CU. And it's
Mhm.
one of those things where even as players are on his team, he's leaving and they're going, bro, go get that bag. Go get that
Yeah.
bag. We know why you're doing it, right? This is life changing money. Talking about an offensive tackle at the University of Colorado Boulder, gonna go get 3 million Skrillas in a year, see Scotch?
Yeah. No,
What?
it's unbelievable. He allowed 0 sacks last year. 0. 3 pressures. You know what it takes to play that many snaps and allow them to pressure a quarterback 3 times?
He's
I mean,
worth
this
it. He's
guy
worth
is
it. He's
mm,
worth it. He's worth it. I want to know from you, where is Jordan Seaton going? Where's Jordan Seaton going, C Scotch?
he's
Where do you
he's
think that
go
he is going?
Yeah, thanks, D Scatch, because he's going to the runner up of the National Football Championship this year, the U. Okay. He's
Woo!
going to the U. He's
The
gonna
runner up.
go. Michael Irvin's gonna recruit him over. Irvin and Dion. That's the thing, is I think Dion's even helping him go. And it's like, this is really what it's turned into now. Like, how can I take anybody seriously? Like, I can't take anybody seriously in college football because you got Deion Sanders, the head coach of Colorado, allowing what's going to be a top 3, top 5 NFL draft pick next year
Uh-huh.
walk and go to a program like the U with his boy Michael Irvin. That's where I think Seaton's gonna go. I think another name that you can always look for when you get these big body tackles is Georgia, down south over there. I mean, I think That's a big one, and then finally LSU, to go protect Sam Levitt, and Lane Kiffin has blank checks right now, and
Right.
Lane Kiffin don't give a shit, dude. I mean, that dude is spending as much money on private jets and taking college girls out for dinner all he wants. I think that those are gonna be the only 3 programs that are gonna have a chance at Seton right now because he's gonna be a top 3 pick next year, and it's an absolute bummer that the Buffs lost him because the Buffs have actually started to make some pretty good moves in the transfer portal that I'm kind of starting to get excited about.
Absolutely. You know, when I see Jordan Seaton, I see where he could go, where he's going to go find his partnership. I mean, I think at the end of the day, he's going to get lots of money, whether it's 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, $3 million. I think he's going to also, at that point, you're probably looking at, hey, who am I going to be going and blocking for and who's going to give me the best chance at a championship? First thing comes to mind, Dylan Raiola going over to
Mhm.
Oregon, staying on the West Coast. That's a thought comes to mind. You're also talking about LSU. You already said it. Correct me if I'm wrong, C Scatch. Who is the Miami quarterback next year?
Yeah, I will correct you. It's Hassan Longstreet from USC, who I believe might be the only one of the only big time quarterbacks remaining. Honestly, he had a great season at USC. I like his game. I think he'd fit into the U very well. And if you bring Jordan Seaton with Hassan Longstreet, you're looking at another national championship contending team. Because Miami's got a phenomenal defense. I mean, phenomenal. And so if you can get guys like
Yes,
that,
we're
they're
gonna
gonna.
see. Yes, we're gonna see. We will see.
So I think it's gonna be interesting. It's a bummer for the Buffs right now. It really is, but we're starting to pick up some big guys. We just got a tackle or a lineman from Georgia. We got a center from Houston. We got a safety from I think it might have been Cincinnati or Houston as well. We're starting to pick it up over here,
Yeah.
but everybody's gone and
Yeah.
we're losing our number one player on our team. Which is a big bummer because what did Shador Sanders always struggle with? Protection, right? He was the most sacked quarterback in college football history. You then take it to this next year, and yeah, Caden Salter is a complete bum. He's going to be in the McDonald's drive-through serving freaking McFlurries for the rest of his life. I don't want to
Hey,
see Caden Salter ever again.
hey,
But
Donald Trump was serving McFlurries last year, and now he's president in the United States. We can't forget about that.
wow,
You
okay,
know,
okay,
he was a garbage truck driver, McDonald's, and so I think we don't wanna
close,
go after McDonald's people
close,
too much, right?
yeah.
Maybe he's at Starbucks, see, Scotch.
Or footlong at Subway. Maybe he's chefing up footlongs all day long, but it's neither here nor there. It's Caden Salter's done. That's the last time I ever mention his name. And so now we have Juju Lewis. I know we're kind of transferring to a little bit of a bust for a second, but we've got Juju Lewis, who is the number 2 quarterback and recruit in the ESPN top 300 last year. He was a true freshman. And now we're sitting here and his blind side is no longer protected. And so I think it's going to be a sorry ass season for the Buffs. I don't even know if Dion's going to be the head coach of us going into next year.
Right, right,
And again, this is just what happens. Like you start losing these big players, and all of a sudden your team goes straight downhill. Coaches get fired. Like there's just no stability in college football. It's just
right.
really the wild, wild west right now. And we'll see. I think Hassan Longstreet and Seaton are going to be the last 2 big names to go. I think Hassan's going LSU. I think Seaton's going Miami. I wish them all the best. Both of those teams are going to be national football championship contenders next year. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
Well, one final question I have before we go into the preview of the Indiana versus Miami game. It is relevant. You mentioned a few different things. We mentioned defense, we mentioned edge rushers, we mentioned Miami. Mentioned Florida in general. And now here we are as brothers. And I think a big thing that we want to understand is or know is where are the DeZere brothers going? Where's Mandrell DeZere and Daryl DeZere going? Twins going from FSU. Where
Hmm.
will they be going? I feel like this could have been us if I didn't break my ankle, junior year, and if you didn't pursue golf, right? We
I
basically
com-
were the DeZere brothers. And so now it's
Yep.
kind of like, where would we have gone if we were the DeZere brothers, C Sketch? If we were at FSU or the DeZere brothers, where are we going next?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm the fastest man alive. I'm the fastest man I know, and it's an absolute bummer that I pursued golf because
Right.
you would see me in the National Football League right now. You saw Malachi Tony
Yep.
last week. That dude's a certified baller, okay? And reminds me of me. But enough about me. I think and it sucks to say this, but typically when I see these Florida State guys, because Florida State's just been leaking oil ever since they had that big year where their poor quarterback got had a gruesome injury in the college going into the college football playoff,
Yeah,
and
and
then
then he
Jordan
went to the
Travis.
Jets. Even
There's
worse
just
than
been
that, he went to the Jets afterwards. That's
he
he thought that was the end. That was the worst point of his career. But then he went to the Jets
well, he transferred. He transferred to the Jets because the Jets aren't a National Football League team. Okay,
through the
so
transfer portal.
yeah, it's a shame, but you've just seen Florida State leaking oil, and I've been actually following a lot of where they've been going. They've been going to Florida.
Yeah,
They've been going to the U. They've been
right,
going to these other Florida schools because a lot of
right.
these guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, those boys are homegrown
Yep,
Florida. And
yep,
so I think that they're going to be going like the U is doing something right now.
right,
And their head coach Mario Cristobal is awesome.
right.
Big titty Cristo. I mean,
Oh,
he is awesome. He's got the nips out and he's got those boys fired up, ready to play some football. And so I think those guys are going to the U as well. Like they might, early contender. I think the U wins the National Football Championship next year.
right. No, when looking at the U, you're talking about all-time greats: Ray Lewis, Michael Irvin, Abella Danger even goes there. I mean, those are some
Oh,
top. You're
Les,
talking about nips out, right? So
Les.
if I think that if we're looking at where we would be going, see Scotch, I would also be considering the U, the U.
Yep.
Without
Great
further
question.
ado, for our last remaining topic, the big preview of the national championship football game this weekend, see Scotch, Indiana versus Miami. Break us down. Who are you going to win this game and why?
This is just going to be freaking awesome, D-Scatch. I couldn't be any more excited to see both of these teams in it. Um, Even though I think Carson Beck is a dumpster, or I would want to throw him in a dumpster and close it and leave him there. I think this is exciting because of Mario Cristobal, because of Malachi Tony, because of that defense, that U defense, that all those boys, Ed Reed and all those boys, they freaking set the precedent back there and they lost their brand and they lost their identity for a while. And so I think you're looking at the number one offense in all of college football versus right now the number one defense in all of college football, because to go in there and to play as well as they did against Trinidad Chambliss, who early predictor alert is going to be the number one draft pick in the NFL next year. I think that dude's the best quarterback in college football right now,
Wow.
even above Fernando Mendoza, just off of raw talent and what that guy brings to the table. He's just a certified winner. But what the U did to him even last week was just very impressive. And so I think it's going to be one of the coolest college football national championships we've seen in a long time. I think a lot of us, nobody saw this coming. Maybe people saw the U in there, but nobody saw the Hoosiers coming. And, when you
Hoosiers.
take a look at this, D Scatch, I break this down very, very simply. I'm a big heart guy, right? I like wearing my heart on my shoulder. And so I like people that do the same. And this guy is the epitome of wearing his heart on his shoulder. And he has led an undefeated Indiana team back from being one of the worst college football programs in the entire country to now literally beating out statistically Joe Burrow and those and LSU Tigers back when they had Ed O, which I didn't think anybody was ever even going to touch that season again.
Right.
And I'll leave you with one reason why the Indiana Hoosiers are going to take this down. And it's because this guy, Fernando Mendoza, all right, look over here. He's got 5 incompletions through 2 college football playoff games. He's got 8 touchdowns. He's got 5 incompletions and 8 touchdowns.
Is that right?
It's the Hoos. It's
It's
the
the
Hoos. And I can't wait. And early predictor next year, It's Miami. It's the U after they get those boys. But I'm sorry, Miami. You barely squeezed into the playoffs. You guys fought hard. You guys have a great program. You guys are going to be great for a lot of years. But what the Hoosiers are doing is exactly what LSU and Joe Burrow did back in what was that, 2020? Yeah, I think it was right before COVID. I think it was either, I think it was 2020 or 2019, right before COVID. So I think it's the same team. I love the Hoosiers, D Scotch. Where do you stand on this whole thing?
I too love the Hoosiers, and I don't want to downplay their defense, Scotch. I mean, they did lead the nation with 29 takeaways and a plus 21 turnover margin, right? I mean, not only are they undefeated, not only does Fernando have the Heisman Trophy, but also their defense played pretty damn good this year too. Hoosiers favored by 8.5
Mm-hmm.
going into the game this weekend. We're looking at Kalski. We're looking at Polymarket. It has Indiana favored at 74 cents. 74 Skrillas.
Wow.
Indiana is the only undefeated team in the country at 15-0 with an average scoring margin of 29 points, nation leading. They blew out elite opponents in the college football playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it really is. It feels like the favorite. And also, I think one thing that is more just a small statistic. Maybe it's not a determining factor by any means. This definitely does not determine sports, but the favorite has covered in the last 6 straight national championship games.
Yeah,
So that, we do have the Indiana money line implying a 77% win chance, but with the offense, the quarterback, with the probability, with who they played in the college football playoffs, with also their defense, they're a fun team to cheer for. I mean, this is
they
a team
are.
where, um, they are the favorite, but I think this is a team that all of America will also be cheering for this weekend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they've got two just power star running backs in Indiana too. I think that showed with Kawan Lacey last week against Ole Miss. Like the reason why Ole Miss almost won that game was not Trinidad Chambliss. It was because Miami finally faced an elite running back that just wore him down. And Indiana's got two of those suckers. And so I think they're going to get worn down. I think Carson Beck, he's having his little, superstar few weeks here, but I think he's going to meet that defense. And I already took the Hoosiers 6.5, D Scatch. I bought 2 points down to 6.5. It's the Hoosiers,
Woo!
okay? And it's table max. It's the full thing. It's the full thing, D Scatch. So I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I got a bunch of good buddies I'll be watching the game with. I'm sure you'll be having fun in New York City, but this is going to be awesome. I can't wait to recap it.
Super excited. I mean, in summary of today's session, we went over the college football transfer portal. It was a 14-day process. We're in the last 2 days. Over 4,000 players entered the portal. We're now seeing billionaires and private equity groups and so much more that are now investing in college football teams. That is making it a lot less competitive. We are seeing this many players now go into the college football transfer portal. We saw the top players like Sam Levitt go from ASU to LSU. We saw Dylan Raiola go from Nebraska to Oregon. And on this episode, we talked a little bit more about Jordan Seaton. We also talked about the DeZere brothers, where they're going. And we finished it off talking a little bit more about who we think is going to win the National Football Championship this weekend. Our bet is the Indiana Hoosiers. Scatch, Wolfpack, bought 2 points, has them at the 6.5
Nice.
spread. Go get it
Nice.
locked in. Kalshi, Polymarket, DraftKings, Robinhood, wherever you're betting, bet on the Hoosiers. And we will see you next week on Keeping It Loose.